Hey everybody, it's Catrice Belly from When Models Talk. You are now listening to episode
If
33,
they're gonna
part
listen to their
2,
parents over
with
me
special
anyway.
guest
And I think
Adonis
it's just like
Rosario.
when you're coming from a place of trauma and place of trauma, when it comes from your even the parents don't think of it like this, like you're low key the kid's abuser. And it's just like even if you don't view it as that, like even if you like view it as like, oh, it's just tough love, whatever. But it's like if they're like afraid of you and they don't respect you, that those are two like it's yes, it's a thin line, but like those are very two interconnected things. Where I was watching this thing earlier before we got on the call is um it was a story going around about this guy who was talking about he's a provider and his wife never had to pay a bill in 20 plus years. You
I
might have
think I know
seen
what you're
it.
talking about. That was
Yeah.
they was on Iyala.
Yep, exactly. And I was like, but this is literally the reason why toxic masculinity is such a bad thing because, like, a lot of times we tend to do things for people, but we never actually ask them what do they want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, and this is something that I faced in relationships where for my birthday was never, because of my upbringing, my birthday was never a wonderful time. Like I, even to this day, it's still kind of difficult for me to enjoy my birthday. And I'm grateful to have a best friend who actually goes out of her way to like make
Oh.
sure that makes me feel loved on my birthday. And it's still a new experience. So it's like, I'm like, when she does it, I'm sitting there like in disbelief, like, oh shit, people actually care about me. Like, but like, yeah, like I think I forgot where I was going with that point, but I think what we have to do is like, oh yeah, we're talking about the guy about him being a provider, blah blah blah. Yeah, like we don't actually ask the people what do they need. We just assume, and assuming will literally kill your relationship. And I think that's what kind of happened in that situation where like he's oh I'm a provider da da da, but it's like later on as like the conversation goes, you figure out that he was pretty much like from a psychological sense, like how I mentioned earlier, you tend to pick up what your parents lacked. So if my mom
He was
lacked
the
a
abuser.
partner, yeah, exactly. Like so it was more he was instilling fear, and it's like in a way you kind of need a trade off. If you're a provider, you kind of need a trade off. So is it support? Is it love? Whatever the case may be. But again, we have to not feel entitled when we do something. And I think every spiritual scripture talks about you have to give without the expectation of receiving. And I think when you give from a place of more generosity like that, the universe, God, Allah, whatever you believe in, will reward you tenfold because you're actually doing it from a place of love and not a place of greed or lust, for a lack of better wording. But I think that people need to focus on that. I think, but none of that stuff will actually make sense to you unless you actually take the time to heal your shit. I think
Yeah.
that's the main thing.
So my next question is, how we're gonna go into relationships and mental health. But when it comes to that, because I know we had a conversation, and I really want to know from a male's perspective, because I believe that we as women, we get together, we have a conversation about men. We ain't no men, so we don't know exactly how they think. And I'm just like, okay, so yeah, this is just a conversation because I can't really get your perspective on how a man thinks or
Yeah.
what they're saying. And I literally just had a conversation with a girlfriend yesterday, and we kept on going back and forth. But when it comes to a man that's having mental health challenges, how can we as a woman, as his woman, support him during that time?
Mm. No, this is crucial, and I'm happy you asked that question. I think just because how more in tune I am with my mental health and my spirituality, I think the best that you can do as being a significant other to a person dealing with mental health issues is do your best to try to understand. Um, don't assume. Half the times, like if you don't actually have sound advice, you're better off just not saying anything. Because a lot of times when I vent, I don't necessarily want advice. And a lot of times when I look at this complaining, again, toxic masculinity still like exiting my brain. But um, when I vent, like I necessarily don't want advice. Because a lot of times I can solve my own problems. It's more of like, I just need to get it off my chest. So it's like, it's one of those things where like, when you jot stuff down, now you see, and like you kind of actually like figure it out a little better. That's kind of what venting is for me. And so if if I'm talking about a significant other, like really, I just need you to listen and not necessarily give unsolicited advice, because it's like at the end of the day, I don't want to, because like, so especially if I'm angry or I'm venting about something being angry, right now it's right here, right? The second you say something that's not relatable, or if I find irrelevant, now the focus is on you. Now I'm angry at you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but it's like you do that unintentionally. It really is very unintentional. And I noticed it in my I think my last relationship that happened. But it's just like half the time you literally don't have to say anything. I think the best thing you can say, like I just said in the conversation about the guy being a provider, blah blah blah. The best thing you can do is ask, "What do you need from me? How can I support you in this moment?"
Yeah.
And then let them answer. Whether it might just need a hug, they might just need a vent or talk about it, or they might just need their space. Like, hey, look, I think I just need to spend a couple hours or a couple days for myself. You know what I'm saying? And you as the significant other, you can't take that shit personal, because at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's not about you. Even if it might seem like it's about you, it's not about you. And I think that's the thing that kills people all the time is the assumptions. One of my favorite books is called The Four Agreements. If you haven't read it, definitely read it.
I still gotta get that book.
It's so good. So, but like the second and the third agreement kind of go hand in hand. It's like, I might be getting them messed up in order, but is don't take things personal and don't make assumptions. Because I think when you take things personal, it's because you hold people to a certain pedestal, right? So with your significant other, you expect them to understand, but that's you being you assuming, because they're your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife. I mean, hopefully, if they are your husband, or they should kind of know you to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But, if it's someone that you're dating or like talking to, whatever the case may be, friend, you can't assume that they know what's going on with you if you're not communicating thoroughly what's actually happening. And that's something that I've experienced recently, where like the lack of communication dead ass caused a whole bunch of confusion. And all you can do is chalk it up as, all right, that was my fault. I should have thoroughly communicated. Because even if you say like, all right, my head hurts. All right, why does your head hurt? I don't know. Well, you might know. Are you dehydrated? Probably. I didn't drink enough water today. All right, that might be it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like you having thorough dialogue with these people and communicating, so that way they're not left in limbo. And then now, I mean, this is me talking to myself right now. So you don't have people left in limbo, and then now they're confused. Now they're taking everything personal. And now they don't know how to like walk around you, because you're saying a lot of things that might be relatable to the situation that you might be encountering with them, but it might just be an overview of all your relationships. But if you don't specify, now you're gonna leave this person having anxiety, overthinking shit, and now they're gonna be afraid to reach out to you or have a conversation with you, or the case may be. But it's real shit. But like, I guess to make a long answer short, what you can do if you are someone who is dealing with someone who is experiencing mental health issues, the best thing you can do is just ask them, what do they need in that present moment?
That's good to know, because sometimes like even as you were talking, the old me would have been like, well, is there something I did?
Right.
But as I'm older and being in relationships where I've experienced things like that, I had to learn, like, wait a minute, it's not about me. Don't turn it inward, because it has nothing to do with you. Yeah. It's just something that they're going through, and your job is to be there as support. That's it.
That's all you can do.
And that what that support looks like, you need to ask them, what does that look like? Yeah. So that's something I had to learn, because as women, we're very emotional, so we can internalize things at times.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I know.
To the point where it's like, okay, nobody was even talking about you. Now I'm mad because you just irked me.
Literally.
But yes, so I'm happy you said that. So that's cleared up for whoever needs to get that message when it's time for them to hear it. They'll understand, because that's something that a lot of people are going through right now, and that's mental health. Everybody has different things going on, and I think you have to work through that trauma. You have to figure out not only where that's coming from, and uproot it. But you also have to make sure that you're healing that wound, because it's still a wound there. You're pulling out the root, but it's still an open wound.
Yeah.
So you still have to do the work in finding out, how can I heal this, and maybe talking to somebody, therapy, whatever it is, spiritual journey, whatever it is that you got to do.
I always recommend people go to therapy. Just because, like, especially if you're not really in tune with yourself, because whatever religion you believe in or whatever spiritual practice you are involved in, you, at the end of the day, like, talking to God, talking to whoever you believe in is gonna get you so far. Because the thing that I noticed with the universe, God, whatever, is a lot of indirect messages. So it's like you have to kind of be more aware of what's going on. And I think you get that awareness when you get to therapy, because, like, all right, now that I'm aware of a lot of the superficial shit that's bugging me, now I'll probably be more aware to catch the things that the universe or God is trying to tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think, actually, no, I mean, like, I think I told you, like, the social media break wasn't my idea. Like, it really, like, it came to me while I was praying, and I, like, heard something whisper to me, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's time.
Hey!
I've been putting it off for such a long time, but I was like, all right, I think it's time, because all the stuff that I'm doing right now needs my 100% focus, and there's obviously some internal things I need to heal from. So it's like, how can I do that if half my attention is on social media and the other half is in my actual life? I need 100% of that, and what that looks like, and it sucks because it's like I might end up losing friends during this time, but I'm prepared to do that, because, like, during the spiritual awakening, whatever you're going through, you're gonna realize that when you reemerge back into, like, the normal world, you're not gonna be like a lot of shit that a lot of people you was cool with. You're not gonna be cool with no more, just for the sole purpose that you don't think the same. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that I can say honestly, like, my spirituality has definitely changed a lot. The way I view my faith is a lot more serious. Not in the sense of, like, religious, like, I don't identify as Christian, I don't identify any of that. I identify as a very spiritual being, but I respect other religions, and I think that's what people need to understand. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have different opinions and likes and everything, but you have to be able to respect that person and their beliefs and everything. So my belief system might be different than your belief system, but I respect your decision. I respect your belief system, because who am I to tell you that your belief system is wrong when that's your belief system? Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the reason I don't argue with nobody. Like, it's literally like, if you want to argue, you argue with your mom, because I'm not arguing. I'm literally going to sit there and nod, and I agree. And not from a place of, I guess this is the feeling in me, not from a place of being a bitch. It's just literally, I just don't have the energy, and that doesn't deserve my energy. And I guess you call it stoicism, where I'm not going to react to everything that comes my way, because 9 times out of 10, everything that comes your way doesn't need a reaction. So a lot of times when people would talk to me, I literally would sit there, they'd be like, oh, you heard me? Yeah, I heard you. But it's like, do I need to react to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hearing what you're saying.
Like, what did you want me to, like, how did you want me to react?
You want me to act crazy because you said some crazy shit? I'm like, all right, cool. It doesn't involve me. And even if you are coming at me or checking me about something, I'm gonna listen to it from a place of not taking it personal. I'm gonna listen to it. All right, is this true? Is this not true? Can I? All right, if it is true, how do I apply it into my life without hurting my ego? Because I think the first step, like we mentioned in the model section, you have to kill the ego. If you don't kill the ego, you're gonna take everything offensive, and you're gonna be aggressive towards everything. And it's like you're gonna have very defensive mindset, where, like, if someone's trying to literally give you sound advice, you're gonna get triggered and get mad defensive about it. I'm like, all right, well, I guess you don't want to grow. That's fine. Like, because at the end of the day, that's not gonna take any sweat off my back.
Yeah, and definitely, it's very important that you humble yourself many a times, because I had to humble myself plenty of times in modeling and relationships and everything, because I found myself when I got checked about a couple things, and it was like, and I was like, and me, I don't like to admit when I'm wrong, but I'm learning. Like, even now, like, even one of my best friends, she was like, I had to apologize to her. She said the emoji, like, what?
Right.
You apologize? I was like, because I value the friendship and I love our friendship. Now, if it was somebody that I really didn't care too much about, they just wouldn't have got a response. But because I value her, I value the friendship, and I want us to remain a friendship, just like with any relationship, you're going to work on something that you want to keep.
Exactly.
So, and that's what I did. And she was just like, let me find out you growing.
Yeah, but as I tell people, like, age and wisdom do not correspond. Like, I had to check my my basketball coach a couple years back because I think it's when I started making motivational videos on Facebook, whatever. And he said something like some weird shit. And he was like, "Oh, you got a lot of spare time, blah blah blah." Just like checking me, just being like mad weird about it. So then, basically, the way the conversation ended, he said something about like him having a whole bunch of like wisdom, whatever, or him being smart. It was something around the line, and I just checked him with like age isn't associated with wisdom because I consider myself very wise at the age of 26. And I feel like my physically I'm 26, but I think mentally I might be 50, 60, if not more. Because like no, it's how it is. It's like you just have to learn, yo. And I think people are so ignorant to learning because they're just trying to avoid the painful parts of learning. And a lot of learning is a lot of internal work. It's like you're not gonna comprehend math unless you actually put the work in. It's the same thing with yourself. Like you're not gonna comprehend who Adonis is, who Patrice is, if you actually sit there with yourself and actually identify, all right, what happened to me? Why am I the way I am? And who was I before this? Then once you actually do the work might take 10 years. And I don't know how long it'll be. And I always tell people healing is a continuous thing. You're always going to be healing from something. And every time I feel like I'm healed, something new arises that I didn't know bugged me. And now I'm healing for another 3 months. It's continuously. But it's just like, it's all about learning. Like, and that's what I'm learning in my young old age. Like, you have to keep learning. You have to continuously be a student. Even if you're out of school, you got to continuously educate yourself. And just read books, obviously, because you want your vocabulary lacking. But most importantly, just learn from life because life is the best teacher at the end of the day.
So the last thing we're going to talk about, and that is Rosewater Juicery, and then we're going to touch on the fact that you're a vegan. So Rosewater Juicery, where in the world did that come from? How did that come about? Because we touched on it a little bit now, you know.
So it came during quarantine, actually. Because, like, I had so much time. My mom just bought a juicer, and I was like, you know what? We just go experiment. And then I just, like, fell in love with it. It was, like, therapeutic. Just juicing was just therapeutic as hell. So, I just started experimenting with, like, just different recipes, and then I started learning, like, getting really, really in tune with my my veganism. Like I'm more of a plant-based vegan than raw food, not raw food, but processed food vegan. But yeah, like Rosewater came about just through quarantine, and I was like, how can I help my family stay healthy, pretty much? And I just started experimenting. I started doing my research on like ginger and turmeric and all that other stuff that like helps fight off like colds and stuff like that. And fast forward to I think it was December when I really debuted it. But like it's something that it is close to my heart because it encumbers everything that I am. I care about health and wellness. I also care about people. I guess to touch on that, I'm also in the process of becoming a health coach. So it's like everything's coming full circle. I didn't know that Rosewater was going to be a thing. I didn't know I wanted to do health coaching, but here I am. Yeah. And it's like I've realized since the beginning of this year, really talking to myself and really sitting down. I actually started meditating a lot more again. That's something that kept me sane during 2020 is meditating. I used to meditate for like two hours a day. Yeah.
I gotta learn to meditate at least 1 minute.
I mean, look, when you got nothing else to do, you gotta figure it out. It's so many books you can read. So yeah, and it's like I would never thought I'll be a health coach, but it's like literally everything that I've done in my life, from war to Rosewater to health coaching, even with modeling, like it's always been even the careers that I have has always been about helping other people achieve things that they didn't think were achievable, whether it be a fitness goal, a mental health goal, a spirituality goal, or a mindset goal. Like I know when I worked in insurance, I used to have very deep conversations with my clients because like I don't just want to sell you insurance. I actually want to have a relationship with you because I want to be like, oh, how's the kids doing, or
Yes.
how you feeling, like like check in on you because I've always been a loving, caring person. I think that's one of my my strong attributes is whenever I was hurting like deeply, like during my like before I really identified my traumas and everything, I was always willing to help people. And one thing that I always say to my best friend is that I will never abandon her because I know how it feels to be alone. And that goes to with everybody who's in my life because like yes, sometimes like it sucks because I do get so caught up on my own shit. But if my friends would have called me right now, like yo, like I need you, I'll go out of my way. I was just like I'll find a way to get to you, or I'll find a way to like do what I can from where I'm at. But I think a lot again it goes with that communication. It's like you know that, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
But and that's something I live by because you never know what people are going through. Like
Absolutely.
all you can see is what's going on Instagram. All you can see is what people tell you. But that's why I always probe the question, "How are you feeling?" And then when they answer, I ask them again. I'm like, "No, for real, how you feeling?"
Yeah.
Because people they go on autopilot when you ask them these questions because it's considered small talk. So and then I just like poke them again, like, "How are you feeling?" And then you kind of it gets a little deeper. And I've realized that with myself, where like whenever I reflect, I always ask myself, "How you feeling?" And I ask myself again, and I'll be sitting up, I'll be sitting up for an hour just talking to myself, like, "Yo, like shit's stressful, dog." No, but that's what it's about, man. Like I think when you live your life to serve other people and to be a servant, the universe rewards you tenfold. Like again, like it wasn't until I really committed myself to not just better in my life, but better in the lives of people around me that all this stuff started coming to me. Like my modeling career is starting to kick up. Rosewater came about. How my health coaching career is about to, get popular. But it's just like literally, this is what happens when you live for other people and you start living for yourself. And I think that's what we need to do. Even when you write your goals down, yeah, it's okay to write your goals, but if you obsess over them, they're not going to come true because you're coming from a place of lack. When you come from a place of lack, whether you're talking to God, the universe, or the case may be, what you give out is what you're going to get back. So if you keep saying that I need money, I need money, I need money, God is going to give you right back. I need money too. Shit. You know what I'm saying? But if you come from a place of like, I am rich, I am wealthy, I am strong. All right, cool. Go get right back. All right, bet I am rich, I am wealthy, I am strong. And then you're going to be dancing like the floor, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's how it is. Like you really become what you think of the most. And if you continue to tell yourself that I need to work harder, or I'm trying to think of some negative stuff. Yeah, so like, oh, I'm too fat, or if you scrape your knee, yo, my knee hurts. Like literally, I'm dealing with something right now. But what I keep telling myself is my wounds are healed. I keep saying that like for at least like 10, 20 minutes. My wounds are healed. My wounds are healed, and then the pain will subside for momentarily. But it's like literally, your words are powerful, and you literally create your own reality. I think once we grasp that concept that whatever you say, you will eventually attract to your life. You start being very conscious of what you say, because like if you say, "Oh, I hate my life," then a year from now you might face a near-death experience because you said you hate your life a year ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of you have to be very careful what you're saying. It's like you have to stay true to who you are and not let society dictate what you're gonna be. And I think a lot of times it's like we let society, we let our outside influences dictate our personality, how we treat people, our character, etc. But we never take the time to really assess ourselves and be like, what do you want?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can write these superficial goals like, oh, I want a house. Like, I literally just rewrote my goals differently. I'm like, I realized I was comparing them. I was like, I think it was actually yesterday where I wrote it different. I was like, it was March 1st. I'm like, all right, what you've been writing down for the past 3 to 4 months, you don't actually want this shit no more. So you're just on autopilot for 4 months. So I was like, all right, what do I actually want? And it's like, it's relatively the same thing, but it's like I'm not pinpointing a value on it anymore.
Mm.
Like, I want Rosewater to be a successful business. I don't know what that looks like, but it's going to be successful on my terms. Because before, I was writing down, I want Rosewater to be a 7-figure profitable business. I just wanted to be successful, like, at this point. Because, like, I think when you don't equate something to monetary or superficial value, it kind of explodes exponentially. So it's like how's that saying, like, your plan is this, but God's plan is this. It's same principle applies. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just like you just have to kind of like let go and give control to the universe, to God, to whoever you believe in, and do what you can do on a daily basis. Because like you want $1 million, but do you know how to make $1? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then once you know how to make $1, you can make 5. Then you can make 6. You know what I'm saying? You just keep going until you eventually get to that $1 million. But it's like, again, that's the reason why taking breaks on social media and using social media more intentionally. You don't see things like that when you're so immersed into social media, because it's like you're seeing people getting rich during the pandemic. You're like, shit, how can I do that? You don't even know what the hell they had to go through. They probably was doing this shit for 10 years, and then the pandemic just happened to be the big break.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people don't talk about their failures. A lot of people don't talk about how long they've been doing it for. It's always like, oh, you could be like me if you learn this simple skill. I'm like, well, how long have you been doing it for? You probably were unsuccessful for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? You probably were broke 1,000 times. But it's like, it's a lot, yo. It's because like, so if I had to like we were talking about Rosewater. I don't know how the hell we got here, but
it's fine.
But if I had to like break down my healing process, and I think this could possibly be relatable to a lot of people, is I could break it down in 3 steps. And it's first you have to develop the mindset. And what I mean by that is you have to be put in a position where your mindset is gonna you have a paradigm shift, where it's instead of now you're not a victim anymore, it's I'm the conqueror. I am this, I am that, I am, you know what I'm saying? So now you're writing your goals down. Now you're more intentional. Now you're waking up at 6 o'clock, whatever the case may be, getting that workout in, getting everything you're getting done in the day. And now you're more intentional. All right. So first step is the mindset. The second one is, now that you have the mindset that whatever you put your mind to, you could achieve, then you focus on the traumas. So now you start identifying your traumas, you're more aware of your traumas. Now you're going to because you got the mindset, you're going to commit and be more intentional to actually healing them. So then, the healing process might take years, but I'm saying we're breaking it down in 3 steps. And then the last one is you have to build your spiritual faith up. Whether that you believe you're a Christian, you're a Jew, you're, Islamic faith, whatever the case may be, you need some type of faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the first 2, there's only so much you can do with the first 2 by yourself, but you need some type of faith, something to kind of like pull you up. Because let's say you're at 99% and you've been working for 10 years to get that last percent, you can't figure it out. You just need something. You need something to go pull you up. But if I had to break it down, it'd probably be those 3 steps. It's like, first you have to get the mindset, then you have to identify and work through your traumas, and lastly, you need to put your faith somewhere. Because I think without those 3 things, I think that's a good foundation to build on. Because everything else after that is secondary. And the one thing that my health coach program talks about is primary foods. So at first it was like, what the hell is primary food? So I'm thinking like veggies, fruit, whatever. That's actually secondary. So primary foods is pretty much what the way I'm going to focus my coaching practice is. I'm probably going to focus more on spiritual food, not spiritual foods, but primary foods, which include spiritual practice, your relationships. Are you active? Are you happy? Like, what's your career? Like, stuff like that. It's more like low key, like therapist stuff. But I'd rather talk to you about that. Get your life kind of at least like organized before I start telling you to start eating more veggies. Yeah. It's simple as that. Because like, if you lack joy and commitment in these areas, what makes you? How can I properly support you, and I guess assume that you're gonna actually listen to what I'm saying, even if it's for the betterment of your life, if the rest of this stuff is in shambles. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, and that's something I personally believe in. You need to have some type of faith. You need to have some type of spiritual practice that allows you to kind of like remove all fear, doubt, and anxiety. Now you can actually operate as your true self. Yep. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would say the 3 things that you said because I think for every person's life is different as far as their journey is concerned. I'll take all three, but I'll start with my spiritual foundation first.
Yeah.
And then from my spiritual foundation, I'll go to, using that process to heal from the trauma. But also, I think the third one you said was, it's like acknowledging and healing. But what was the other one that you said? What was the other one? It's right here on my head.
Mindset.
Yeah, bam. I know it was him. So, but even when it comes to your mindset, like I tell everybody, it takes you to make a decision. And once you make that decision, you can accomplish anything with a decision. Yeah. I've done so many things. When I say, that's why I love just not being a Black woman. I just love being a woman in general, because when I make a decision on what I want to do, there is no stopping me. You cannot tell me differently that this is not going to happen, because Catrice is going to make it happen regardless. Because it's a decision I made. And I think, but some people have to hit rock bottom to get to that point, and let God build them back up so they can make the decision to actually do what they're supposed to do to accomplish their goals and their dreams. For example, when last year, when I was just like, okay, this whole pandemic hit, I'm not working, but I'm happy because I'm not working because I have more time. And I just made a decision that I was going to be healthy, and I was going to stick on my healthy kick for as long as I could until I saw the results that I wanted. And I did. I was like, I want my six-pack. We didn't get to we almost got there. But and so I realized, wait a minute, something got to change. But I had to learn more of the next step of what to do, because I feel like when you're doing something, you have to learn what that next step looks like.
Exactly.
You have, like, if you're working out and you want a six-pack, okay, once you get that six-pack, what's next?
Yeah.
Then what's next?
You always have to have goals. You always have to know what's next. Like, you always have to, like, set these stepping stones after you achieve that goal. Because once you achieve that goal, like I said, like, that becomes your new foundation. That becomes your next foot. That becomes your next ground. So it's like, you want a six-pack. All right, what happens when you get the six-pack? All right, I want to be more defined. I ain't having that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's next? What's next? Because eventually, like, I'm gonna hit on my fitness goals. Now I'm at the point where it's like, I'm just trying to stay lean. Like, and that's so vague, but I'd rather have it there because of the type of person that I am, the type of mindset that I have. Whenever I have a goal, I'm gonna accomplish it, but then I get bored. So I was like, all right,
that's it.
I got my six-pack. All right, if I work for an 8-pack, what happens when I get the 8-pack? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's so much stuff you have to do, and I'm like. That's just the reality of it. But I do agree with you on the whole spiritual thing. But again, everybody else is different. Because I know my upbringings, I didn't have spiritual practice. So it's like, if that's one thing. Like, I didn't have spiritual practice. Like, I knew there was something more than me, but it was never like, oh yeah, it's Christ, or oh, it was this, or it was that. It was just like, all right, there's someone other than me, but that person ain't here, so it's just me and my surroundings.
Going through my struggles.
Exactly.
Going through my struggles right there.
Exactly. I think a lot of people, again, this is super, super assumptional. People in the Black community, inner city, like gangs and all that stuff, they don't necessarily have a spiritual faith. And I think a lot of times you have to start with that mindset first. Because, like, if you change your mindset, you change your environment. Once you change your environment, now you could think more clearly. Now you're less on edge. Now you're less hostile, and you can actually talk to people. And my first experience on that was when I went to my my college, because it was 20-25 minutes away from where I live. It was technically out of Philly, but it's like damn near right there. But it was a change of environment where I was around, like, my current environment. Well, Philly in general is very, very hostile. You have to be on guard because anything can happen. Versus up there, literally, there's no worry in the world. Like, you go walk out at 1 o'clock in the morning, and the worst thing you go see is a damn deer or a fox. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that's gonna happen. Yeah. And that was something new to me, because I'm like, yo, like, I don't have to be on edge. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to have an angry face to, like, ward people away from me. And I think, like, that's one thing I do want to do with War, where like I take kids from insert communities, and you know, we spend like a weekend or a week at like the Poconos or somewhere where like it just changes their perspective on life. Yeah, because like if all you, I've met people who never left Philly, and it's crazy to think that. Like, how are you 70 years old? You never left Philly.
Yeah,
that's crazy shit. But that's just how it is when like no one cares for you. And unfortunately, we live in a country where they don't care about us, so we have to care about ourselves.
yeah.
But the problem that I see all the time is people make it out of these communities and actually don't give back. Like, oh, well, I made it. You got to figure it out too. I'm like, damn, it's like that. Like, I thought we were supposed to be one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but again, like, unfortunately, when you live in these environments, and you could probably chime in on this, is like it's a crab in a barrel mindset. Like when you see someone making it out, you try to bring them back in. And I noticed that when I have friends who grew when I grew up in these urban communities, whereas like they would really dumb down or belittle what you're trying to do. Like, oh, or like it's funny. It's like, oh, this nigga want to go to college, or da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. But people,
excuse me, for me trying to better myself, like. Yeah, and this is how it is. But I think one thing that I learned, like, again, going back to my healing process, is you gotta get that mindset. You gotta get that like stoicism, like what you say don't matter, and I'm gonna do what I want to do. And that didn't grow. Like my mindset took years to develop. It was like I think it started in high school, but it didn't fully like fine tune itself until like I got to college. I think maybe at the end of college, because like even when I played when I played basketball there, the kids there or the guys on my team were envious. And I'm like, I had the same goal as yo. I'm just trying to win. Why you guys don't like me? And I was trying to figure that out. And it's like, again, it's like I still haven't figured it out. And it's like, and on the superficial sense, I could say they were hating, but it's like it might be a little deeper than that. Yeah. You know, and to be honest, I don't really care much about the situation now to really dissect it. But it's stuff like that sticks with me because like you don't necessarily remember the words that people tell you. It's more of how they felt, how they made you feel. And that's the thing. It's like at first I thought I was like a person who was just, oh, I'm just holding on to something. I gotta let it go. But it's like literally we are emotional, spiritual beings. So it's like whatever you give me that is meant towards destroy me, then I let it in. And especially because I cared about you and genuinely like paid attention to what you were saying to me. I think that's when you're the most vulnerable, because when you trust someone, it's like, yo, you could really fuck me up. Like you don't know it, but you could really fuck me up. And I think that's what life is about, though. It's like life is about taking chances, and it's like, you know, like the whole concept of falling in love and all that stuff is all about taking chances, because like you could run through a lot of motherfuckers until you finally meet Mr. Right or Mr. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, you know, but it's all about chances. Same thing with your healing process. It's like your healing process is not a linear line. Like there's times where I'll be like, I could conquer the world. Whatever comes my way, I'm going to smack it in his face. and then there's days where I'm like, yo, like I can't get out of bed. I could let alone, like, you know what I'm saying? But that's just how it is. And it just, I think whichever way you look at it, you can't hold yourself like, or you can't like be too hard on yourself, because at the end of the day, like you're healing each and every single day. And some of the days, like you might just need yourself. You might just have to lay in bed. You know what I'm saying? But I got this concept. I think I said it in our conversation last time. Is get your ass up and move. Like literally, like that's all you gotta do. Like whenever you are going through something, get your ass up and move. And I came up with this concept when I had my knee surgery, because like literally, like I didn't know I was gonna be able to walk again. So I was like, yo, if I can get back from this, I could go through anything in life. And that's where that mindset came, where like I don't let nothing in life stop me. It might make me stop like a little temporary break, but I'm not quitting. So it's like whenever I feel depressed or whenever I feel like I can't do something, my go-to is the gym. Because the gym is like my safe haven where I can think properly and get some steam off. So it's like get your ass up and move doesn't necessarily have to be towards the gym. It could just be like go for a walk, or if you don't feel like going to work, just get up and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like get up,
turn on some good music. And dance around the house and act the fool.
Yes, and whatever, get your ass up and move looks like to you. Do that. You know, it might be you just taking a stroll around the block or reading a book or something. Like, whatever you gotta do to make yourself feel better. At the end of the day, it's like, and again, this is touching on spirituality. It's like it's only so much faith and so much responsibility you could put on someone else without you taking any.
Exactly.
I'm very intentional about that. Like, no matter who's in my circle, no matter who's in my life, it's only so much they can do for me. At the end of the day, everything stems from you, from within. So it's like, if you are going through something, no matter who says who is there for you, your therapist, your best friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, at the end of the day, that shit is your responsibility, and they can only help you so fucking much. And I think
absolutely.
It's just like it goes. I think just because of the mindset I just developed over the years, like, I rather, and this is also like, it's a double-edged sword being super, super self-reliant, because you tend to push people away. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because like when I want something done, I get it done. Instead of like, hey, can you do this for me? Now I'm waiting a month for you to do it, when I could have just done it within that week. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it just goes back to your healing as well, though. It's like, you want to heal, but you're relying on your therapist. You're relying on God. You're relying on your significant other. No, at the end of the day, it's like you have to sit still with yourself and figure out where is it stemming from and what needs to, what do you need to do to make it better. You might have to talk to your abuser. You might have to just come to a sentence that you might never get that apology. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff you have to go through, but at the end of the day, you are 100% responsible for your life and the outcome of it. You know,
I agree. But yes, is there anything else? Because I don't want to hold you too much longer.
I think we're talking about veganism. Veganism is the last thing.
Yes. So being a vegan, because when it comes to being a vegan, okay, explain to everybody what does a diet look like for a vegan? What are we eating?
Right. So being a vegan, you're literally not eating any animal byproducts. So you're not eating dairy, you're not eating any meat, you're not eating fish, no eggs, no butter. I'm trying to think what else.
So I hear all that, but what are we actually eating? Because you said everything. So you said I can't eat nothing. I might have to starve to death.
Basically.
So what are
so basically what you're eating, right, is a whole bunch. It's depending on the route that you go. Okay. So you could be vegan where you're still eating Oreos, you're still eating because sugar is technically vegan, potato chips are technically vegan, Oreos are technically vegan. So you could go very broadly and say I'm vegan, or this took me a while to get to where I'm at. I'm more of a whole food plant-based vegan where I eat very minimal processed stuff, like very, very minimal. It's like a very sometimey thing. So a lot of my foods I make them from scratch. So if I make tacos, like vegan tacos or something, I'll make them from scratch. And a lot of times I don't even use tortillas. I'll use lettuce leaf or something like that. I eat a lot of fruits. I could eat fruit all day, literally without anything else. I could eat. I've been there. No, literally, but it's just just really just aligning yourself with get your ancestors. That's the way I look at it. Because at first it was very health purpose wise. Then it became more ethical. Now I'm just all right, what did my ancestors eat? And then I'm because I think when you really start going into this spiritually and tuning, spiritual journey and then tuning yourself with your inner being, you want to eat stuff that is nourishing, not stuff that is toxic to your body. So it's how and they always say that food holds information. Saying the whole water. So it's I want to eat food that's alive, like fruit, veggies, herbs, nuts, whatever. And again, this is it seems very biased, but when you eat meat, it's dead. There's nothing there. And you know what I'm saying? So it's I'm looking at it from a nutritional standpoint, for a moral standpoint, also for a dietary standpoint. Literally, I was doing research last night, and meat takes 2 to 3 days to digest. You know what I'm saying? So it's just no, but meat literally takes 2 to 3 days to digest. Versus you got leafy greens that takes 40 minutes. You have different types of fruits depending on what they are. The max you might be seeing 40 to 50 minutes. but you have nuts for 2 to 3 hours, and like literally like stuff should not be sitting in your body for more than that. You know what I'm saying? And so I always tell people like you should be having at least 1 to 3 bowel movements a day, easy. If you're eating the right thing, then they're actually digesting. But there's a lot more stuff that plays into it. And that's something I'm learning is, yeah, that's very Western nutritional mindset. But now I have to think about more the functional mindset of, all right, what is their genetic makeup? Because some people might not be able to eat certain things because of their genetic makeup. I know for most Black people, or most minorities, sorry, we aren't really meant to be eating meat. Because if we really think about our actual ancestors, I think the earliest beings that we could really like relate to are the Kemetic African spiritual people, aka the Egyptians, and what they ate. You know, if you look at their diet, which I'm gonna do more research because don't quote me on this, but it looked like it was a lot of plant-based stuff. So if we're related to that and actually, you know, eating the food that our ancestors ate, and you feel good eating that, then you know things start clicking. Like with the second I stepped away from meat, my body felt a lot better. So just like that's just my experience. Your experience might be different, but you know, I always say, don't take what I'm saying over, like, don't anchor on it. Definitely do your own research because the shit. Even if someone is very, very credible, I do my own research anyway because like I don't like to anchor on stuff because half the times, it's not the whole truth. And it's like a lot of like them just trying to sell their products or just try to build a brand up as this health guru, whatever the case may be. And that's also what I'm doing the next 6 months is really educating myself because one thing that I know that's going to build my health coaching practice is if I talk more about that. You know, I think if I just make videos about like talking about certain health facts that's pertaining to our community, like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, et cetera, and I talk about how we can actually combat it and reverse it from a non like pharmaceutical way, people might be more inclined to actually do it because it's cheaper. It's cheaper for you to go to the grocery store and get beet juice or beets for $2 per pound versus you spending $500 something for a visit and getting pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
And the thing is, and I talked about this. I talked about this the other day. I think it was actually from my health coach thing. One of the questions they asked us about the healthcare system and how health coaches could be like, I guess, we can have an impact in our current healthcare system. And I'll say because the healthcare system in America isn't actually doing anything. What they're really doing is putting band-aids on a whole bunch of chronic issues so they could continuously keep making money. And so in short term, it's how healthcare in America focuses on symptoms, not the actual issue. That's why when people talk about the vaccine and all of this shit, it's like, if our ancestors were able to combat a lot of stuff back then, I don't think that we should be relying on these man-made things. That's just me personally.
I agree. Exactly what you said. I agree with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if COVID is this thing, right, there's something on this planet that God, or whoever you believe in, that put on this earth to combat it.
Absolutely.
You know? So, I'm going to leave it at that, though.
Well, it was wonderful talking to you and you blessing us with your knowledge and expertise.
So we here.
But so where can they find you? Even though you ain't gonna be on your social media.
I'm on hiatus right now, but you can find me on my main page, Adonis Raphael Rose, which is where I post all like my wisdom-y stuff and my model stuff. You can follow this account, which is our mental health organization, War Movement. You can follow Rosewater at Rosewater Juicery. I just post like, you know, very some spiritual stuff, some health stuff, and a lot of stuff is just more of like the products that I sell. So if you are in the Philly area, and if you're willing to travel, and I'm also happy to meet you at like pickup locations. But once you send that text message or email, we could talk more about that. But you can find me at those 3 platforms.
Okay, awesome. Because I want to know what's with the flavors and everything else of the Rosewater.
You know.
Or juicery. But yes, thank you so much, Adonis, for coming on to When Models Talk. Yes, and I want to say thank you for everybody who tuned in. And I just want to say, everyone have a good night. and enjoy the rest of your day. And if you gotta take time, social media break, time to yourself, do it. He's the prime example.
That's just not real. That's just not real.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful night. And again, thank you, Adonis.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Thank you for listening to episode 33 with special guest Adonis Rosario on When Models Talk.